Hello and welcome to the first LiveG Lookahead on Tuesday the 25th of October 2022 at 5 PM GMT. Very excited for this meeting, as I'm sure my co-presenters, I suppose, are. I mean, we've been thinking about doing this for some time now. I think it's a good way of kind of getting the community together. So yeah, this meeting is being hosted on the LiveG Lookahead channel on our Discord server, and is additionally being streamed to our YouTube channel, where a recording of the meeting will be available after it has finished. Live subtitles are available by watching the stream via our YouTube channel, and don't forget that questions and input can be given at any time, and we aim to address all questions and input at the end of the meeting if we don't address them during the discussion. And we ask that if you are going to contribute, you must respect the LiveG contributors community rules, which can be found under the rules channel on Discord. And finally, by suggesting ideas, you agree to make those ideas available under the LiveG open source license. So yeah, with that out of the way, we should probably introduce ourselves. Tram Crazy, do you want to go first?
Yeah, hi everyone. I'm Tram Crazy. I've been involved with LiveG stuff for must be about a year and a half now, and I also have a YouTube channel which is very small, where I do some tech content and I do the odd coding project as well. So yeah.
Yeah, great. Yeah, what about you, Seb?
Yeah, so I officially manage the operating system side. And yeah.
Yeah, that's I mean, sure, that'll do.
Yeah, that's pretty much it, yeah.
Yeah, I've known Seb for quite a while now. We've kind of done projects together before, so yeah, that's good. And, well, I'll get around to myself. Yeah, I created LiveG, and I'm basically kind of, I suppose, the lead developer. And I've been doing quite a lot of work on kind of G Shell, which is kind of the user side of LiveGOS, as well as various other projects, which we'll no doubt talk about in a bit. So, talking of which, let's move on to our agenda. So, first up, well, we have me, and we're going to be discussing about building LiveGOS for other platforms, which is a discussion about deploying LiveGOS to other desktop architectures in addition to mobile devices. We'll also discuss about what architectures and platforms would be great to support going ahead in the future. Then with Tram Crazy, we'll be discussing the state of LiveG cybersecurity, and it's going to be a general overview and discussion on our cybersecurity practices at LiveG, with regards to both ensuring that our software is kind of defect-free as possible, as well as ensuring that our repositories are up-to-date and secure, while still valuing community contributions, of course. All the words are mashing together. And finally, I'll be going through just a few kind of projects that are supporting LiveG at the moment. So it's going to be basically a short showcase of some of the smaller projects that have been developed to support our bigger projects in the long run, including Typeset, which is our upcoming code editor, Formulaic, which is our expression engine, and LiveG Search. So then, let's move on to our first agenda point. So, as you may be aware, the PinePhone community has been quite interested in some of what LiveG has been doing, especially in terms of the Prism, and some users are looking forward to kind of the release of LiveGOS for PinePhones and other kind of open source Linux devices, because you must not forget that LiveGOS is a kind of a Linux-based operating system. So yeah, there's many kind of architectures to support going ahead in the future. We only support, I think it's AMD 64 at the moment, or it could be 8664, which is like kind of the 32-bit, 64-bit kind of version. It's one of the most popular ones which Debian uses, but we'll basically need to kind of modify our pipeline to support other platforms, which will be exciting. So do you guys have any kind of suggestions as to what other platforms we should be kind of supporting with LiveGOS?
I think definitely Raspberry Pi is one to go with. It would be easy to do an ARM build, which we're kind of looking at already, and I guess it's just a general operating system. It's LiveGOS is quite lightweight, but the Pi is definitely powerful enough to run it really well. So I think we'd also been thinking, hadn't we, about a desktop PC from LiveG called, what was it, Proton?
Yeah,
Proton. So that would be a cool one to think about, especially with the Raspberry Pi Compute Module 4, which is such a great platform for embedded systems.
Yeah, certainly. Raspberry Pi I think would be... Yeah, go on, Seb.
Yeah, I think the Raspberry Pi would be really good for remote screens, because it's such a
that's a good point. Like,
small,
a lot of people use Raspberry Pis for displays. I think
I
remember quite a interesting one was at IKEA. I think they used it for their displays because some guy tweeted out a photo of IKEA display which was still booting up, and it had the Raspberry Pi logo on. I'm sure we can get quite a few customers kind of who want to use LiveGOS for kind of those kind of things. And that's definitely something we should go forward ahead with, in the future. And as Tram Crazy was mentioning, if you could embed kind of some sort of Raspberry Pi-like device in our Proton project, which would be kind of a desktop kind of version, I think that'd be pretty cool. And I certainly do think that Raspberry Pi will be able to run LiveGOS, especially because the PinePhone, or LiveG Prism at the moment, is capable of running it, and I'd say that's kind of more low-end hardware. No offense to Pine 64 for their hardware, I think it's really cool, but as many people have noted, it's a bit of a slow platform, but LiveGOS runs fine on it. That's probably why a lot of kind of PinePhone users would be looking forward to getting LiveGOS. So I think we're ready to move on to our next point with Tram Crazy. So Tram Crazy, I believe you've got something prepared, have you?
Yes, so hi everyone, I'm Tram Crazy, I spoke to you earlier. I am technically in charge of cybersecurity at LiveG. I need to do a bit more work on that. But I've just got a couple of points to share about how we're building cybersecurity into our platforms and software from the very beginning rather than as an afterthought. So first of all, we use SNCC running on our GitHub repositories, which scans all our GitHub repositories for out-of-date libraries and software security issues, and opens PRs in GitHub automatically so that we can fix them easily. James, I don't know whether you would like to share anything about how you found using that so far.
I think it's a great platform. It's really good with kind of mentioning kind of Electron updates which we need to apply, but there's quite a few of them which we actually need to apply fairly soon actually. It's great for kind of mentioning those kind of vulnerabilities, and it adds them to the GitHub repository. And I also get kind of weekly update emails for kind of vulnerabilities which come out, which might affect LiveG's project as well. So it's a great tool that we use.
Thanks, James. In terms of G Shell, we implemented something from the very beginning, which is privileged versus unprivileged apps. So system apps like the Settings app and other system apps, James can probably list some more on G Shell, LiveGOS, are privileged, so they are not inside web view tags. In case you didn't know by this point, LiveGOS G Shell is fully web-based and it runs inside Electron. So the privileged apps don't run inside a web view tag, so they can then manage system settings and display child web pages. For example, our Sphere web browser is a privileged system app, and web views. And that's basically just because web views can't embed web views, and it's all web based, so we had to find a way to do it. And the other side of that is unprivileged apps, which is just any normal app like, say, calculator or a game that might be developed later or anything like that, that doesn't need system privileges and can just run within a web view. And it's actually really easy to develop apps for LiveG OS using our frameworks, which I'm sure James will talk about later, because it's all web-based. Also, with our passwords and passcodes for LiveG OS, like on a lock screen of a phone, we're using bcrypt for hashing, which is one of the best hashing algorithms. So that keeps the passcodes and passwords really secure within your device as soon as you set them up. Any more points?
Great. Yeah, thanks. Yeah, you mentioned some really good points about kind of how we're kind of keeping G Shell itself quite secure, because I'm sure there's quite a lot of kind of desktop environments out there which don't have as much high level of security as we do, so we're kind of trying to aim for the top in terms of security, not just from our kind of our third party packages.
Windows.
You what?
Windows.
Yeah. Windows. It's going really well so far, and we hope to keep it up, really. Tram Crazy, have you thought about whether we should have some kind of disclosure policy at some point for if someone kind of reports like a vulnerability with LiveG's software, they should be able to kind of responsibly disclose it to us rather than not knowing
that's
what to do.
definitely something that I need to work on. I will try and get that written in the next few days.
I think that'd be really cool. Yeah,
definitely something that would be good. I think maybe just we could either set something up on HackerOne potentially, which would be quite cool, or we could just do something on by email. But I think HackerOne would be quite cool because lots of big companies use it. But anyway, we'll have to think about it.
Yeah, okay. Thanks for that, Tram Crazy. We'll move on to our third and final point today, which is some of the projects which are supporting LiveG. So, as I mentioned briefly at the start, we have a few projects such as Typeset, which is our code editor which we're building. And the reason why that kind of is existing at the moment is partially because it'll make building LiveG apps with Adapt UI and our component framework called Astronaut much easier. We're thinking about having some kind of, drag and drop system where you'll be able to build apps like that and then write the rest of the code for your apps. I think there's quite a few tools like that do that. There's like Android Studio, I believe, and also Visual Studio if you're building like a Windows app. In fact, I'll show you Typeset as a brief demo, or more specifically the Typeset engine, as it were. I'll just quickly share my screen. Okay, so here is a very, very basic demo. I'm going to zoom in just slightly so that you'll be able to kind of see it properly. And just as a quick demo, I'll show you some of Typeset's code inside Typeset itself. So here we go. As you can see, it kind of renders quite nicely, and it actually does render on the fly. So when you load in a big chunk of code, it doesn't kind of lag as you're kind of loading it all in, as it renders the syntax highlighting, because that can be a bit of a pain in the browser because everything blocks when you're rendering stuff. And as you can see, some of it's kind of needs working on, but I think it's a really cool project, and you can edit stuff on the fly. Console.log. Hello world. That's kind of a brief kind of overview of the Typeset code editor. I'll go back to this screen now. Next up, I need to work out where all the tabs are actually. Bear with. Okay, is formulaic. which is going to be our expression engine. I'm not going to show you this one actually, because there's not much to it, to be honest. There's a few cool features, and that's mainly going to be used within our calculator that we're building for LiveG OS. So one thing I've noticed with kind of mobile calculator apps that you get pre-installed is that you can type in basic expressions, but on some phones, I'm looking at you, Apple, the calculator app doesn't let you kind of enter in an advanced expression where, say, you're typing in, I don't know, 3 plus 2 times 5. It doesn't show 3 plus 2 times 5 on the screen, and using brackets and bidmass and that kind of things gets a bit annoying. So we're developing an expression engine so that we can pass, kind of interesting expressions, advanced expressions, which include complex maths, like complex numbers, for example, just to outperform iOS's calculator and Android's calculator as well. So it's something cool. And finally, LiveG search. In fact, I could probably show you this one. In fact, you know what? I'll show it inside LiveG OS itself, or more specifically G Shell, because I can run that here. Alright, here we go. I'll just share my screen for the YouTube viewers. Here we go. So currently our default search engine for Sphere is LiveG search, which isn't really much of a good search engine at the moment. I think we might need to rework on some of the code. You can search GitHub, for example, and you'll be able to see that it provides you with some results, which are pulled from GitHub pages actually. There's a lot of optimization to do with this, and again, it's very basic at the moment, but I think it's pretty cool for what it is so far. And I would say that that's about it, really. So yeah, let's wrap up, I suppose. So yeah, that's it in terms of our agenda. If you have any questions or input, then you're welcome to leave them in the Lookahead channel on Discord, or via the live chat feature of YouTube. But that concludes today's kind of episode of LiveG Lookahead. If you have any questions or input, in fact I've read that bit already, our next meeting is scheduled on Tuesday the 1st of November 2022 at 5 PM GMT, and you can rewatch this meeting via the recording on our YouTube channel. That will be made available shortly. But until then, thank you for attending, have a good evening, and happy Halloween from all of us here at LiveG.